This week, we have a bunch of new miniatures to take a look at coming to us from Games Workshop. All of this is brought to you by CMOGames.com. More on them in a bit. I'm Angela, you're watching Hobby Night. Now let's get to it. While I was having fun at Open Sauce over the weekend, Games Workshop had another live stream, the Battle for Ogham, so we could find out the results of this great conflict and see who actually ended up taking the planet. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch the video reveal of the results.
As the Grendelus tendril uncoiled across the Hormogaunts system, its ravenous swarms descended upon the hive world of Ogham. The planet's skies darkened with spore storms and billion-strong swarms of winged biohorrors.
Yes.
And it seemed Ogham was surely doomed.
I hope that it was.
Yet, the Imperial defenders stood firm.
Curse those
Every
Imperial
tide of
fools.
Tyranids that overran artillery
We're for
emplacements
Xeno here.
boiled through breaches in Imperial fortifications. Another was crushed beneath the treads and guns of massed tank formations, strafed to ruin by relentless wings of
the dreadnoughts are scary. I will
cut to pieces by coordinated space marine strikes. The hunger of the great devourer is not so easily denied.
Yes.
Like a wounded beast, the Tyranid swarms reacted as one and lashed out with ferocious force.
Yeah! Go Tyranids!
Hours. What vital
My
relics
hungry
and
boys!
personnel could be salvaged were extracted from Ogham at great cost in rearguard troops and escorting void ships. They left behind a world that seethed with Tyranids in their billions.
That's right! The Tyranids won! I genuinely
Ogham
was surprised by
doomed.
this.
With its fall, the entire Hormogaunts system, including the vital anchor world of Sanctum, was placed in greater peril than ever before. Reinforcements are coming. And
we are going to look at all of the reinforcements today. And there you have it. The Battle of Ogham is won, and this time it was won by none other than the Tyranids, which I guess I should have expected because frankly, I think the Tyranid players would be the ones more likely to actually submit their results in the hopes of, getting the win in this because I feel like Games Workshop biases towards the Space Marines so often. So I guess maybe I shouldn't be super surprised, but I genuinely was a little bit surprised that the Tyranids were winning. Now, on a marketing stand, this makes complete sense because of course people want brand new, even more new Tyranid models, and that is exactly what we're also going to be looking at today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into all of the reveals of the new Tyranid models that we can be looking forward to. I cannot wait. This week's episode is brought to you by CMOGames.com. Games is an online retailer specializing in Games Workshop products. So whether you're obsessed with Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, or my personal favorite, Blood Bowl, they will have you covered. They also carry a variety of other products like board games, Pokemon cards, as well as Magic the Gathering cards. So really, if you're a big nerd like I am, there's definitely going to be something for you there on their site. I also want to let you guys know that right now, they currently have available boxes of Leviathan. So if you happen to miss that, maybe you weren't able to get your hands on one from Games Workshop or your friendly local game store, well, they have some currently available online, and if you're in the continental US, you buy the box set, you will qualify for their free shipping deal. There is a link that I've left in the video description below, and if you use that, not only will you be supporting a privately owned business, but you'll also be supporting this channel, and I would really appreciate that. So definitely make sure to check out CMOGames.com today. Now let's go ahead and get back to the news. First up, let's go ahead and take a look at the new Genestealers. Oh man, they look so cool. They look thicker than they were before, which I guess really shouldn't surprise me. Everything has been scaling up and getting chonkier, and these guys look like they're a little bit more in line with Primaris Space Marines, which I'm very much enjoying. So we have brand new Genestealers. They look honestly stunning, and I can definitely say, in comparison to some of the older sculpts, including the ones from Space Hulk, these are a lot better defined. They're extremely dynamic. And I actually really like the fact that out of these sculpts, because you are seeing a couple that are on some larger debris pieces, it actually does kind of feel reminiscent of some of the Space Hulk sculpts. I actually just dug up all of my Genestealers from my Space Hulk edition, and I was looking at them and going, oh, I'm totally going to be using these in my game, because I do think that they have some unique basing options, and they are very, very cool, but there are some like weird, who knows what's happening with that tail melding into that thigh and other weird things like that happening. So seeing these really nice defined sculpts for Genestealers is fantastic, and I can't wait to get my hands on these, even though I am still going to be using the ones from Space Hulk as well. Let's go ahead now and look at the reveals for the new Termagants and Hormogaunts, which before we even look at this trailer, I just have to tell you, my mind was blown this morning when I actually looked at the word Termagant and realized it was not spelt Termagant. I literally thought they were all gaunts of some variety. I thought that stayed the same, they just changed the prefix, but apparently not. Apparently it was Termagant, and we have some new ones revealed to us at this live stream. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch the video. I am really looking forward to the Hormogaunts. I want those melee boys so badly. And just look at how cool and dynamic they are. They're like little raptors and I love it. But we also got some boys with some incredibly phallic looking guns. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't know what Games Workshop was thinking other than trying to tell me, hey Angela, you should have been running Tyranids this entire time. That's really what I've learned from this particular trailer. But let's look at some of these boys in a bit more detail, because we have our Hormogaunts who look amazing. I love the look of these sculpts. I like the raptor-esque-ness of them, and I love the just fact that they're melee boys. We also, of course, get some Ripper Swarms with them because of that change, but that's really not that big of a deal. Look at him leaping up, being a vicious little predator. It's so very good. So the Hormogaunts are looking fantastic, but here we have our Termagants. And as you can see, this is the full lineup for Termagants, everything that you can get instead of just the small guns that you got in Leviathan. They have a plethora of guns to choose from, some of which are looking very cool and deadly, and others that are looking a little bit more phallic, like that one, which I just think was an interesting choice on Games Workshop's part, but you know what? I can appreciate it. I think it ties into some of the other content that I make, so you know what? It's fine with me, and I'll probably be picking up a box of these, even though I don't know if I'll be using the gun boys as much as I will be wanting to run our melee guys. But regardless, I think they're all fantastic, and we have even more Tyranids to take a look at. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump into the video real quick to remind you to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications so that you never miss any of the hobby content that we make here on the channel. I want to move on now to, I think, the reveal that I am most excited for when it came to the Tyranids that we got to take a look at, and that is the plethora of new Lictors that we're getting. So let's go ahead and watch the video. Immediately, I'm already, yes, they look so good. They look so good. How cool is he? I want one. Basically, I'm really excited for the Lictors because I'm not a big fan of the Winged Prime, and I kind of want to replace him with just a Lictor in my army instead, and look at how many options I have. They're all beautiful, they're all vicious looking, and I absolutely love all of them. So we of course have our psychic one, which I think looks amazing. We have our just standard Lictor. We have a big chonky boy, which just looks even more badass. Again, we have our big brain boy. I love the design. It just looks so badass. But this guy, what was his name? The Death Leaper. I think the Death Leaper looks like such a badass, and I want to run one in my army so badly. Painting him is going to, I think, be mildly daunting, but I kind of feel that way about all of the Tyranids until I actually start getting worked on them, and so it'll probably be fine. But I am so looking forward to each and every one of these Lictors. I just think all the designs are really cool. I love the giant, just like honking, like arms that they have that are weapons. They look so rad. And I'm really glad that I'm getting into this army now and I'm having a blast painting it. And these guys are going to be no exception. Now we're going to take a look at the model that I think got the biggest glow up of all of the Tyranid reveals at the Battle for Ogham event. Just look at how cool this massive bug looks now. He is stunning, both of them, and they used to look incredibly derp. I kind of love that derp element of them, but I do like seeing this vicious glow up that we're getting for our Biovores and Pyrovores. They look stunning. I think the new designs are terrifying. I love how wide the models are. The Tyranids, and this has been true for a lot of Games Workshop lines over the last couple of years, but I think with the Tyranids especially, we're seeing Games Workshop play with scale a lot. And for me, that is one of the things that makes collecting an army especially fun, when I end up getting to have a lot of little guys that get to run around on the board, as well as a lot of bigger guys, as well as medium scaled models as well. I really like having that flux, and I like that they're not only doing it with the height of the models, but also the width of the models. And Tyranids especially, I think, get to play with that a lot more because you can have just really interesting designs, because you can just find some bugs out there, which there is a bunch of really weird looking ones, and just combine that with mechanical stuff and create these really unique, really fun designs. And just, these guys are really doing it for me. I love how badass this thing looks, and I especially like the paint job that they did on this particular model, because that little glowing effect of the flamer like firing up and heating up just looks amazing. I really want to get my hands on these models. I really want to get my hands on all of the new Tyranid models, but these boys especially. We have one final reveal to take a look at from the Battle of Ogham. Without further ado, let's watch the trailer. Ooh. This is going to be fun to paint. I love how freakishly detailed this thing is, and it looks stunning. I am just very, very into these really big models. Now, we had the reveal of not only the Norn Emissary, but as well as the Norn Assimilator as well. And this one here is the Emissary, the one with the big brain revealed in its head. And she looks so cool. Like, I love the base. I love everything that's going on with her. I am a little like nervous to paint her because, good Lord, there's a lot going on there and I want to do some fun stuff with it. And I think it'll be amazing, but she is a little intimidating. Just check out all of the details on her though. I don't know what I'm gonna end up doing for the brain. When I do it with my paint scheme. It'll probably end up being pink, although the blue does look really, really cool. But we also had the reveal of the Norn Assimilator, which I actually think is the more impressive looking model. Look how freaking terrifying he is. Like, I would not want to meet this thing in a back alley somewhere. It would be terrifying, and I can't wait to get my hands on him. Also, he looks so, like, this mouth is so good. It is just so good, and I love these bits of, like, the horns that he's got on his head. They just are perfect. I love all of these models, but this is not all we have to take a look at. Games Workshop didn't just spoil us with new Tyranids, they announced a couple of other things as well, so let's look at those next. Not long ago, Games Workshop announced Legions Imperialis, their newest version of Warhammer Epic, but this time it's set in the Horus Heresy era of the world rather than 40k. And we got a cute little look at a variety of the miniatures during that reveal, but in my personal opinion, they weren't exactly the best pictures to be looking at of these tiny, tiny miniatures. And this week, we got a little bit of a closer look at the new Sentinel models that are coming in that box set. And I actually think that these are higher quality photos. And I just wanted to really compliment Games Workshop on the designs for these absolutely tiny miniatures. I cannot wait to get my hands on these particular figures. They are smaller than anything I have ever worked on before, but just look at them. Like, I don't know if it's just the people who worked on the paint job for this, or if this model is actually this detailed and they just enhanced it with a stunning paint job, but I cannot get over how good these tiny little Sentinels look. I can't wait to see what the Space Marines get in a little bit more detail as well. I hope they do a little bit more of spotlight on those models as well. But overall, I am so looking forward to this game coming out. Let me know if you are as well. Last but not least, we have 3 board games coming out from Games Workshop, and one of them I am particularly excited about and probably will be picking up. And I even think it might be a slightly good deal depending on its price for Tyranid players, if you don't mind randomly getting a Space Marine Lieutenant, which, I mean, let's be honest, Games Workshop does that to us enough as it is already. You've probably gotten so used to it you won't even notice another one being added to the collection. Even though this one is in fact Titus from Space Marine 2 and Space Marine 1. That is right, you've got Space Marine the board game, and this is based off of Space Marine 2, the video game, which is launching later this year. And I want this game. I want Titus. I think it's going to be really cool to own that miniature and be able to paint him up, although I am sad that he's not his captain version. He's just a lieutenant version. But again, Games Workshop gives us so many of those. What's one more to add to my collection? But the other thing that I think is really cool about this is you do actually get 20 Termagants in it. And if you are looking to pick up more Termagants, this might be a really good way to do so, especially if this game ends up being a lot cheaper than what a box of Termagants by themselves might be. Now, you might be slightly limited on which weapon choices you get with this particular box set, but if that's not really a big deal to you and you just want to grab some more boys, this might be a perfect way to do it. In addition to that, we have a couple of other games that are being released soon. Combat Arena Lair of the Beast. This one is really cool, not necessarily because I think the game itself looks super interesting, but if you happen to miss out on getting some of the Blackstone Fortress, either characters or the Enbull, well, this is a great way to grab some of those miniatures, because as you can see, some of these little guys right here, these are some of the Blackstone Fortress characters that you could have played as. And then of course you've got your Enbull, which is just a really cool model to own and a really fun thing to paint. So might be something worth picking up, which you can get all 3 of these games, by the way, from Target if you're in North America. I believe they are going to be coming out to other game stores in the future, but not as soon as they will as Target. I also I really love the Man of Iron. The fact that you can get another Man of Iron in here is honestly a reason for me to just pick it up, because then I'd have 2 of them and that would be really, really cool, because he's such a unique miniature and they don't make more of them. The last thing that I want to talk about, of course, is the newest 2-player starter set for Warhammer Underworlds. This gets you everything that you need to get going with Underworlds, and I think the sculpts for those miniatures are always really, really cool. And in this particular one, the guard, these skeleton boys here, they're some of my favorite sculpts, and they're from the first Underworld series, which is out of print, so this is one of the few ways to get these particular models these days, and I think that is a perfectly reasonable reason to grab the box set. That has been it for the board game reveals. Let's go ahead and wrap up this week's episode. That's it for this week in hobby news. We got to take a look at a ton of new miniatures, so make sure to tell me in the comments below which was your favorite. I also want to give a huge thank you to CMOGames.com for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure that if you want to check them out and shop with them, to use the link that I've left in the video description below. Finally, before I head out, I do want to give one final thank you to my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we would not be doing this, so thank you very, very much. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.